we feel like our lives are over. Alcoholics, when we stop drinking, we think we're never going to have fun again because so much of what we do is associated with alcohol. So it was like learning to walk again. I had to create new associations for everything that I used to do while I was drinking. For example, I lived at the beach. I used to go out and watch the sunset and have a glass of wine. Well, I learned to have a cup of tea. What's interesting about this case is that quite often people do drink or drug down their sexual orientation. That's exactly what I did. It was no accident in my case that I only came out after I got sober 17 years ago. Up until that time, I was grappling with feelings regarding my sexual orientation, and what I would do is I would drink over them. So if I had an uncomfortable feeling, I would have another drink. And when I got sober, all those feelings came up, same-sex feelings, and I had nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. And so I see that in this case, that she rekindles a relationship with her high school same-sex romantic partner, and then she decides, I want to change my life. I'm going to stop the cocaine. I want to get out of this abusive relationship with my husband. I want an authentic life. And unfortunately, when you've built up an entire life that is based on something else, it can be very threatening to the person that you are saying goodbye to. And they were also, Danny, very enmeshed. When I look at this married couple, I see a couple that has no boundaries. He is not only, at the time of this incident, her husband, he's also her mentor, her trainer, her manager, and he's, according to her, very controlling and emotionally and physically abusive. So essentially, when she pulls the plug, his whole world feels like it's going down the drain. That's very threatening to somebody like this.
Yeah, you know, Jane, one of the compelling things about your book is that it isn't just about alcohol addiction. You talk about the transfer of addiction once people get sober, and that there are many different kinds of addiction, including codependence, which you talk about as well, which is another thing I think is going on in this Christy Martin case. How important is codependence when people look at this case and they say, why didn't Christy Martin just get out of this situation?
Danny, you hit the nail on the head. This is an absolute CODA situation. I use the shorthand CODA for codependency because she knew, she had a sense that he was going to kill her, and she felt oddly compelled to go back to the house that day to take whatever he was going to dish out. I'm paraphrasing her words. She told her stylist that she was afraid that he was going to kill her. She told another friend she was afraid he was going to kill her. Why did she feel compelled to go back? That is the penultimate example of unhealthy and sick codependency, where somebody feels so enmeshed with their partner, where they don't know where they end and the other person begins, that even if they think this other person is going to kill them, they return and face that person because somehow they feel obligated to in some bizarre way. So what you have to do with codependency is cut the cord. They like to describe it as two people who have a cord, their belly buttons, sort of like an umbilical cord, attached to each other. And whenever one does one thing, the other person reacts. And so she could have used that opportunity to cut the cord. Instead, she felt obligated to go back and face what she was certain was going to be an attempt to kill her, and that's exactly what prosecutors say happened.